The HS Hyperion emerged from quantum space like a blade-piercing reality's veil. Its obsidian hull, etched with iridescent quantum diffusion patterns, reflected the light of 3 distant suns. The massive human warship dwarfed the delicate crystalline structures of the Galactic Federation's outpost Zenith 9, causing the assembled alien diplomats to shift nervously in their environmental chambers. First Minister Xylith of the Federation Council pressed her luminescent appendages against the quantum blast viewport, her bioluminescent patterns flickering with a mix of anxiety and anticipation. The humans weren't supposed to be here. Not yet. The Federation had carefully managed first contact protocols with emerging civilizations for millennia. But humanity had shattered all expectations, achieving quantum space travel barely a century after discovering nuclear fission. Ministers, the human vessel is initiating communication, announced Chief Protocol Officer Venra, his crystalline form refracting light in patterns that indicated stress. They're using standard Federation protocols. Impossible. They couldn't have decoded our encryption that quickly. Accept the transmission, Xylith ordered, her patterns shifting to formal communication mode. The holofield materialized in the center of the chamber, and the assembled aliens fell silent. Captain Elena Rodriguez of the HSS Hyperion appeared in the projection, her dark eyes sharp and alert, her uniform bearing the distinctive insignia of the Human Space Service. Greetings, First Minister Xylith. I apologize for our unannounced arrival, but we detected your quantum distress beacon. The Federation appears to be facing a Class 9 reality distortion event. We're here to help. Xylith's patterns flared in surprise. The quantum anomaly had only been detected 3 cycles ago, and its classification was the Federation's most closely guarded secret. Captain Rodriguez, while we appreciate your concern, the Federation has managed spatial anomalies for over 10,000 years. We have protocols. With respect, Minister, Rodriguez interrupted, her voice firm but diplomatic. Your protocols were designed for standard space-time fluctuations. What you're dealing with is something else entirely. Our quantum sensors detected the anomaly's signature from 12 light-years out. It's growing exponentially. The chamber erupted in concerned murmurs and biochemical signals of distress. Venra's crystalline form vibrated with anxiety. First Minister, the human captain is correct. Our latest calculations show the anomaly has increased by 47% in the last cycle alone. Our containment measures are failing. Rodriguez continued, her holographic form stepping forward. We've encountered something similar before in the Ta City incident. Standard containment protocols don't work because the anomaly operates on 11-dimensional quantum strings, not the 9 your technology is designed to handle. Impossible, declared Science Minister Catherine, his gas form swirling agitatedly. No civilization at your development stage could possibly understand 11-dimensional quantum mechanics. Your species only achieved faster-than-light travel 15 of your years ago. A slight smile crossed Rodriguez's face. Minister, humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to look at problems differently. We don't have millennia of established protocols limiting our thinking. When we encountered the Ta City anomaly, we solved it not through advanced quantum mechanics, but by applying principles from Earth's ancient physics theories about string theory and dimensional folding. Xylith's patterns shifted to decision mode. The Federation's protocols were clear about accepting help from younger civilizations, but they were also clear about the necessity of preventing Class 9 events from destabilizing reality itself. She had a choice: follow 10,000 years of tradition, or take a chance on these unpredictable humans. Show me, she said finally. Show me how you would handle this crisis. Rodriguez nodded, and the holofield filled with complex mathematical models. But unlike the Federation's elegant quantum equations, these were a bizarre hybrid of primitive mathematical concepts and cutting-edge physics. They were inelegant, seemingly chaotic, and yet they worked. The anomaly isn't just a spatial distortion, Rodriguez explained. It's a cascade failure in the quantum foam that underlies reality. Your containment fields are actually feeding it energy. But if we modify them using these calculations, we can create a recursive feedback loop that will cause the anomaly to collapse in on itself. The science minister's gaseous form condensed in shock. That's barbaric. Brilliant, but barbaric. You're suggesting we fight a quantum anomaly by essentially giving it quantum indigestion. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best ones, Rodriguez replied. We have the necessary modifications ready to deploy from the Hyperion, but we'll need the Federation's permission and help to implement them. Galactic studied the human captain's confident expression, then looked at the mathematical models again. They violated dozens of Federation protocols and centuries of established theory. They were unorthodox, dangerous, and probably crazy. They were also, she realized, their best chance at survival. Permission granted, Captain Rodriguez, she declared, her patterns shifting to emergency action mode. Welcome to Outpost Zenith 9. Let's save reality together. As the human captain began coordinating with Federation scientists, Syleth reflected on the irony of the situation. The Federation had always seen itself as the teacher of younger races, the keeper of cosmic knowledge. Yet here they were, about to let a species that still used chemical rockets on some of their planets show them how to prevent the collapse of space-time itself. Perhaps, she thought, it was time for the Federation to learn some new protocols. The engineering bay of Outpost Zenith 9 had transformed into an unlikely fusion of Federation precision and human improvisation. Captain Rodriguez stood before a holographic display of the quantum anomaly, its 11-dimensional mathematics casting ethereal shadows across her face. Around her, human engineers worked alongside their alien counterparts, their contrasting methods creating a symphony of organized chaos. Your quantum stabilizers are too perfect, Lieutenant James Chen explained to a confused group of crystalline Federation engineers. He gestured to their immaculate equipment with a wrench in hand. That's actually part of the problem. You're trying to impose perfect order on quantum chaos. Sometimes you need to fight fire with fire. The Federation's chief engineer, a silicon-based entity named HFY, vibrated in frequencies indicating deep distress. But our protocols specifically state that quantum manipulation requires absolute precision. The slightest deviation could be exactly what we need. Chen interrupted, pulling up a holographic simulation. Look at the anomaly's behavior. It's not just growing. It's adapting to your containment measures. Every time you try to impose order, it responds by becoming more chaotic. It's like trying to hold onto a handful of water. The tighter you squeeze, the more slips through your fingers. First Minister Xylith observed the exchange with growing fascination. The humans had brought their own equipment aboard, devices that seemed crude by Federation standards, yet incorporated principles that somehow bridged the gap between classical and quantum physics. Their approach was messy, unpredictable, and completely at odds with everything the Federation had learned over millennia of scientific advancement. Captain Rodriguez approached the central control matrix, where Federation technicians were attempting to integrate human quantum modulation devices with their own systems. The key is controlled instability, she explained, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Your quantum fields are too stable, too predictable. We need to introduce just enough chaos to match the anomaly's frequency, then guide it into a self-collapsing pattern. Like fighting a forest fire by starting smaller controlled fires, Chen added, noting the confused expressions of the alien engineers. Sometimes the best way to control chaos is to speak its language. The integration process was anything but smooth. Federation safety protocols repeatedly triggered automatic shutdowns, their systems refusing to accept what they perceived as dangerous irregularities in the human modifications. Each time, the human engineers would find creative workarounds, sometimes literally holding circuits open with pieces of Earth-manufactured equipment that seemed impossibly primitive to their alien counterparts. I don't understand, HFY admitted, watching as Chen manually calibrated a quantum resonance field using what appeared to be modified Earth mining equipment. Your species has achieved quantum space travel, yet you still rely on mechanical interfaces and physical tools. Why not fully embrace automation and quantum integration? Chen smiled, tightening a connection. Because sometimes you need to feel the machine's heartbeat. Quantum mechanics might power our ships, but human intuition guides them. We've learned to trust our instincts alongside our instruments. As if to emphasize his point, a warning klaxon suddenly blared through the station. The holographic display of the anomaly flared bright red, its boundaries pulsing with unstable energy. The anomaly's rotating through dimensional phases faster than our models predicted, Rodriguez announced, her voice calm despite the crisis. Federation containment fields are starting to buckle. Xylith's patterns flashed with alarm. Our protocols dictate an immediate evacuation in such circumstances. We must. No, Rodriguez interrupted firmly. This is our chance. The anomaly's reaching a critical resonance phase. If we time this right, we can use its own instability against it. She turned to Chen. Lieutenant, initiate the quantum pulse sequence. Manual control. The Federation engineers watched in horror as Chen began manipulating what looked like primitive mechanical controls, adjusting quantum fields by hand rather than through the precise calibration of automated systems. Rodriguez stood at the main console, her eyes focused on the swirling display of the anomaly, as she coordinated the efforts of both human and alien teams. Quantum resonance at 70% and climbing, called out a Federation technician, their crystalline form vibrating with nervous energy, dimensional boundaries becoming dangerously thin. Hold steady, Rodriguez commanded. Wait for my mark. She watched the chaotic patterns of the anomaly, her expression intense with concentration. The Federation staff looked on in amazement as she seemed to read the quantum fluctuations like a book, anticipating each shift and surge. Now, Lieutenant, full power to the resonance field. Chen's hands flew across the controls, and the human devices surged to life. The quantum fields around the anomaly began to pulse in an irregular pattern, matching its chaotic energy signature, but gradually introducing subtle changes. Like a skilled dancer leading a partner, the human systems began to guide the anomaly's wild energy into a more controlled state. For a moment, reality itself seemed to hold its breath. Then, slowly but surely, the anomaly began to collapse in on itself, its 11-dimensional chaos folding into increasingly smaller spaces until it finally winked out of existence with a barely perceptible pop. The engineering bay fell silent except for the soft hum of cooling equipment. Federation sensors rapidly confirmed what human instruments had already shown. The threat had been neutralized. Ix-Val's crystalline form shifted through a range of colors indicating disbelief and admiration. You deliberately introduced chaos into a quantum system, and it worked. Everything we know about quantum mechanics suggests this should have been impossible. Rodriguez smiled, patting the nearest piece of human equipment affectionately. Sometimes the impossible just needs a fresh perspective. And maybe a few good old-fashioned wrenches. First Minister Xylith approached the human captain, her patterns displaying a complex mix of relief and newfound respect. Captain Rodriguez, it seems we have much to learn from each other. Perhaps the Federation's protocols regarding emerging civilizations need revision. We'd be honored to share what we know, Rodriguez replied diplomatically. Though I suspect we have just as much to learn from you. After all, the best solutions often come from combining different perspectives. As human and alien crews began the process of securing equipment and analyzing data, Xylith couldn't help but wonder what other surprises these unpredictable humans might have in store for the galaxy. One thing was certain, the Federation's encounters with humanity were far from over. 3 days after the quantum anomaly's collapse, the Hyperion's observation deck had become an impromptu conference center. Star maps and holographic projections filled the air, showing a pattern that made Captain Rodriguez's blood run cold. The quantum anomaly they defeated hadn't been an isolated incident. It had been a warning. "We're detecting similar quantum signatures in 7 different sectors," Lieutenant Chen reported, highlighting points of light across the galactic map. "They're smaller than the first one, but they're growing, and they're appearing in a pattern." First Minister Xylith's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with concern as she studied the data. "This is unprecedented. In all our recorded history, we've never seen multiple Class 9 events occurring simultaneously." She turned to Science Minister Catherine, whose gaseous form had condensed to its most serious configuration. "Could this be a natural phenomenon?" "Impossible," the Science Minister replied. "The mathematical probability of these anomalies occurring naturally in this pattern is," his form swirled as he calculated, "approximately 1 in 10 to the power of 342. Rodriguez stepped closer to the central hologram, her eyes narrowing as she studied the pattern. "Because it's not natural. These anomalies are being created deliberately. Someone or something is trying to punch holes in the fabric of space-time." The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembled Federation representatives. Their forms shifted and changed in displays of shock, fear, and disbelief. Only HFY, the crystalline chief engineer, maintained their composed structure. "If these anomalies are artificial," HFY reasoned, "then they must have a source. A technology capable of manipulating 11-dimensional space." "Look at the pattern," Rodriguez said, gesturing to the map. The points of light formed an unmistakable spiral, spreading outward from an empty region of space. "They're not random attacks. They're tests. Whoever's creating these anomalies is perfecting their technique, learning how we respond, and preparing for something bigger." Chen pulled up additional data streams, correlating the anomalies with known spatial phenomena. "Each new anomaly is more sophisticated than the last. They're learning from our containment methods, adapting their approach. If we don't stop them soon, the spiral will reach populated systems." Xylith finished, her patterns shifting to emergency frequencies. "Billions of lives could be at risk." Rodriguez straightened her uniform, a determined expression crossing her face. "Then we need to stop them before that happens. We need to find their source and shut it down." The Federation's fastest ships could reach the projected point of origin in approximately 6 standard cycles, Catherine offered, his gaseous form swirling with calculations. "Too long," Rodriguez shook her head. "The Hyperion can make it in 2. But we'll need Federation support. Your quantum sensors, your data networks, and most importantly, your trust." Xylith's patterns flickered in what humans had learned to recognize as their equivalent of a wry smile. "After what we witnessed with the first anomaly, Captain, I believe you've earned that trust. But this mission, the risks are exponentially greater. We're not just talking about containing a single anomaly anymore." "No," Rodriguez agreed. "We're talking about finding whoever's trying to tear holes in reality and stopping them. And we'll need to combine human intuition with Federation technology in ways neither of us has attempted before." The next few hours were a flurry of activity as both crews prepared for the mission. Federation technicians worked alongside human engineers, integrating their advanced sensors with the Hyperion's more robust systems. The elegant crystalline technology of the Federation looked almost organic next to the utilitarian human designs, but somehow they made it work. "I've been analyzing the energy signatures from the anomalies," Chen reported during the final preparations. "There's something familiar about them. They remind me of old Earth theories about quantum tunneling, creating shortcuts through space-time by folding higher dimensions. Similar to how our quantum drives work," Rodriguez mused, "but on a much larger and more destructive scale." She turned to Xylith, who had insisted on joining the mission despite Federation protocols against putting high-ranking officials at risk. "Could someone be trying to create permanent quantum tunnels, artificial wormholes? If they are, they're going about it in the most dangerous way possible," Catherine interjected, his gaseous form agitated. "These anomalies aren't just folding space-time, they're tearing it. Each one threatens to cascade into a full reality failure." As the final preparations were completed, Rodriguez gathered her crew and their Federation guests on the Hyperion's bridge. The massive view screen showed their destination, a seemingly empty patch of space that somehow held the key to the galaxy's survival. "I won't lie to you," she addressed the assembled crew, human and alien alike. "What we're about to attempt goes against both human safety protocols and Federation regulations. We're going to push our technology to its limits, combining systems that were never meant to work together. But sometimes the greatest discoveries come from taking calculated risks." Xylith's patterns shifted to match the determined expression on the human captain's face. "We stand with you, Captain Rodriguez. The Federation has existed for millennia by following careful protocols and established wisdom. Perhaps it's time we learn to embrace a little human chaos." The Hyperion's engines hummed to life, their power enhanced by Federation quantum matrices. As the massive ship prepared to jump into quantum space, Rodriguez couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Humanity had come to the stars expecting to be the students, learning from ancient and advanced civilizations. Instead, they had become partners, offering new perspectives to age-old problems. "All stations report ready," Chen announced. "Quantum drives spooling up. Federation sensors integrated and functioning." "Take us in, Lieutenant," Rodriguez ordered. "Let's go save reality." Again, the Hyperion vanished into quantum space, leaving behind a shower of dimensional ripples that had the Federation scientists muttering about elegant imperfection. Whatever they would find at their destination, one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be quite the same after humanity's arrival. The HSS Hyperion dropped out of quantum space into absolute chaos. Where their scans had shown empty space, they found a massive structure, a lattice of dark energy and quantum filaments that seemed to bend reality around it. The structure pulsed with an otherworldly energy that made both human and Federation sensors scream in protest. "By all that's sacred," Kethran gasped, his gaseous form contracting in shock. "That's impossible. The energy readings, it's like looking at the birth of a universe." Captain Rodriguez leaned forward in her command chair, studying the incredible sight before them. "No, not birth. Reconstruction. Someone's trying to rebuild reality according to their own design." She turned to Chen. "Status of the quantum anomalies. They're all connected to this structure," Chen reported, his fingers dancing across his console. "It's using them like test sites, gathering data on how space-time responds to manipulation. And Captain, we're being scanned." Before Rodriguez could respond, a voice filled the bridge, not through their communication systems, but seemingly from reality itself. "Fascinating. We anticipated the Federation's involvement, but humans, you continue to exceed probability matrices." The air shimmered, and a figure appeared on the bridge. It was neither human nor any Federation species. Its form seemed to shift between states of matter, simultaneously solid, liquid, and gaseous. First Minister Xylith's patterns flared in recognition. "Quantum architects," she whispered. "We thought you were extinct. Your civilization vanished eons ago." "We did not vanish," the being corrected. "We evolved. We shed the limitations of conventional existence to become one with the quantum realm. And now we have returned to correct a fundamental flaw in reality's design." Rodriguez stood, facing the entity directly. "By tearing holes in space-time, those anomalies you're creating are threatening billions of lives." "A necessary calibration," the architect responded, its form rippling. "This universe's fundamental constants are flawed. They allow for too much chaos, too much unpredictability. We seek to impose perfect order." "Perfect order?" Chen scoffed. "That's what you call this? You're destabilizing entire sectors of space." The architect's form pulsed with what might have been amusement. "A temporary disruption. Once our work is complete, reality will operate according to pure mathematical precision. No chaos, no uncertainty, no quantum randomness. And no life," Rodriguez declared firmly. "You've been gone so long you've forgotten. Life thrives on that chaos, on uncertainty, on the very imperfections you're trying to eliminate." Thyleth moved to stand beside the human captain, her patterns aligning in support. She's right. The Federation has preserved order for millennia, but we've learned from humanity that sometimes chaos breeds innovation. Look at how they solved the anomaly at Zenith 9. The architect's form wavered, multiple versions of itself overlapping as it processed this information. Yes, your solution was unexpected. You introduced controlled chaos to stabilize quantum fluctuations. Primitive, yet effective, but ultimately irrelevant. Our work must continue. The structure behind them pulsed, and new anomalies began to form. But Rodriguez had been expecting this. While they'd been talking, her crew and the Federation scientists had been working. "Lieutenant Chen, now," she ordered. Chen activated the hybrid system they'd prepared, a combination of human quantum pulse generators and Federation probability matrices. The Hyperion's engines roared to life, channeling power through circuits that had never been meant to work together. "What are you doing?" the architect demanded, its form becoming erratic. "Fighting fire with fire," Rodriguez smiled grimly. "You want to reshape reality. Let's see how your perfect order handles a little human chaos." The Hyperion began broadcasting a quantum signal that mimicked the architect's own technology, but with a crucial difference. Instead of trying to impose order, it amplified the natural quantum uncertainty of space-time itself. The massive structure began to vibrate as its perfectly ordered patterns encountered waves of probability and possibility. "Stop." The architect's form began to fragment. "You don't understand what you're doing. The calculations must be perfect." "That's where you're wrong," Rodriguez countered. "Life isn't perfect. It's messy and chaotic and beautiful because of those imperfections." "Lieutenant, full power." The hybrid system surged, pushing even more quantum uncertainty into the space around them. The architect's form became increasingly unstable as its perfect calculations encountered variables it couldn't control. The massive structure began to dim, its energy dispersing back into the quantum foam of space-time. "Federation ships are reporting in," Syleth announced, her patterns bright with excitement. "The anomalies are collapsing. Reality is healing itself." The architect's form had become little more than a quantum echo. "Impossible. Our calculations were perfect." "That was your mistake," Rodriguez said softly. "You tried to perfect something that was never meant to be perfect. The universe doesn't need to be redesigned. It needs to be free to evolve on its own." As the last traces of the structure faded away, the architect's form finally dispersed, returning to the quantum realm from which it had emerged. In its wake, space-time began to stabilize, the natural chaos of reality asserting itself once again. Catherine's gaseous form swirled in amazement. They had technology beyond anything we could imagine, the power to reshape reality itself. And they were defeated by humans introducing random variables into their equations. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best ones. Chen grinned, powering down the hybrid system before it could overload. Rodriguez turned to Syleth, whose patterns still showed traces of awe. "First Minister, I believe we have a lot to discuss about the future of human Federation cooperation." "Indeed we do, Captain," Syleth agreed. "It seems we have as much to learn from you as you do from us." "Perhaps that's exactly how it should be." As the Hyperion set course back to Federation space, Rodriguez couldn't help but smile. Humanity had come to the stars seeking knowledge and advancement, only to discover that their greatest strength lay in what others might have considered their greatest weakness, their embrace of chaos, uncertainty, and the beautiful imperfection of life itself. 1 month after the confrontation with the quantum architects, Outpost Zenith 9 had been transformed. What was once a purely Federation facility now buzzed with activity as human engineers worked alongside alien scientists, sharing knowledge and pushing the boundaries of what both civilizations thought possible. Captain Rodriguez stood in the newly established Joint Innovation Center, watching as Lieutenant Chen demonstrated Earth's primitive analog interfaces to a group of fascinated Federation engineers. The crystalline beings were particularly intrigued by the way humans combined digital precision with physical control systems. "Your species continues to surprise us," First Minister Xylith said, approaching Rodriguez. Her patterns glowed with what the captain had learned to recognize as peaceful contentment. "We've had to create an entirely new category of protocols just to accommodate human methods of problem-solving." "I hope that's a good thing," Rodriguez smiled, turning to face the Federation leader. "Better than good. The Federation Council has voted unanimously to establish a permanent Human Federation technology exchange program." Xylith's patterns shifted to formal announcement mode. "Captain, they want the Hyperion to be the flagship of this new initiative." Before Rodriguez could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. But these weren't the panic-inducing klaxons of a month ago. These were the new hybrid alert systems, designed to be recognizable to both human and Federation crews. "Quantum distortion detected in the Carina sector," Chen reported, his hands moving across both holographic and physical controls. "But this one's different. It's stable." The main display activated, showing a peculiar sight. A perfect sphere of altered space-time hung in the void, its surface rippling with controlled quantum fluctuations. As they watched, a message emerged from within it, transmitted simultaneously in Federation quantum code and human binary. "It's from the architects," Kethren announced, his gaseous form swirling with excitement as he decoded the transmission. "Or at least some of them." The message was brief but profound. "You have shown us another way. Some of us wish to learn more about this chaos you value so highly. If you are willing, we would like to begin a dialogue." Rodriguez exchanged glances with Xylith. The implications were staggering. A chance to learn from beings who had transcended conventional existence, tempered now with the understanding that perfection wasn't always the answer. "Well," Rodriguez said, "I guess we'll need to update those new protocols again." "Indeed," Xylith agreed, her patterns showing amusement. "Though perhaps this time we should start with fewer rules and more flexibility." The next few hours were a flurry of activity as both human and Federation experts analyzed the quantum sphere and prepared a response. But something else was happening too, something that went beyond mere diplomatic relations or technological exchange. In the station's observation lounge, Rodriguez found Chen staring out at the stars, lost in thought. "Credit for your thoughts, Lieutenant. Just thinking about how far we've come," he replied. "When humanity first reached the stars, everyone expected us to be the students, learning from advanced civilizations. Instead, we've ended up teaching as much as we learn." "It's more than that," Rodriguez said, joining him at the viewport. "We're not just teaching or learning. We're creating something entirely new. The Federation's precision and accumulated knowledge, combined with human intuition and creativity. Even the architects are starting to see the value in imperfection." A group of young Federation scientists passed by, engaged in animated discussion with human engineers. They were using a mixture of Federation light pattern communication and human hand gestures, creating an entirely new form of interaction that would have been unthinkable just months ago. "The galaxy's changing," Chen observed. "And we helped change it. For the better, I hope," Rodriguez replied, watching as another ship emerged from quantum space, this one a new design, combining Federation crystalline technology with human-style engineering. The first of many such collaborations to come. First Minister Xylith joined them, her patterns reflecting the starlight in complex ways. "The Federation has existed for thousands of years by carefully controlling change," she said. "Humanity has taught us that sometimes the best way forward is to embrace uncertainty, to take calculated risks. And you've taught us the value of experience and careful consideration," Rodriguez added, "finding the balance between chaos and order, between innovation and tradition." The quantum sphere pulsed gently in the distance, waiting for their response. Around them, the station hummed with the combined efforts of two civilizations working together. And beyond that, the galaxy stretched out endlessly, full of mysteries waiting to be solved and challenges to be faced. "You know," Chen said thoughtfully, "maybe this is what first contact was always supposed to be like. Not one civilization teaching another, but different species learning from each other, growing together." "Growing and evolving," Silith agreed, her patterns shifting to match the optimistic mood. "Just like the universe itself." Rodriguez smiled, watching as another mixed crew of humans and Federation members began preparing for their next joint mission. The galaxy was entering a new age, one where the mathematical precision of the Federation, the transcendent knowledge of the architects, and the innovative chaos of humanity would combine to create something greater than any one civilization could achieve alone. "Well," she said, straightening her uniform, "we should probably get back to work. Those quantum physics laws aren't going to rewrite themselves." As they returned to their duties, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, as if the universe itself approved of this new direction. Humanity had found its place among the stars not by conforming to the expected role of an emerging civilization, but by staying true to its unique nature, embracing chaos, questioning constants, and always pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. The adventure was just beginning.